Life process is the biggest phenomena in the existence, isn't it? Yes? When I say life process, not what's happening in Hyderabad city, what's happening here within this is the most complex and unexplainable and incredible and mysterious process, isn't it so? Yes or no? Something like this, such a phenomena is happening here, but you are bored, you are frustrated, you are unhappy because somebody said something, somebody did not say something, because you ate idli and the chutney did not have salt. Endless number of nonsense, missing the whole fundamentals of life, because it's not a simple thing. The most complex form of… most sophisticated form of creation and the creator are right here. Yes or no? It is right here. If you get involved with this can keep you busy for 10,000 lifetimes, I'm telling you. There is so much in this one. And, you know, do I look uneducated enough? Yes or no? Isn't it? So, to remain uneducated, it takes a lot. You don't know how hard it is to remain uneducated. Because from the moment you're born, there are educators all around you. Your mama is there. Mama always thinks he has a right to educate you, isn't it? Your parents, your friends, your teachers, everybody thinks it's their God-given duty to educate you. Educate you about all kinds of things which have not worked for them. You can see it's not worked for them. They are not bursting with blissfulness. Compared to the child, none of these adults are bursting with any kind of joy or bliss, but they are trying to educate the child into misery. So this is all my sadhana was all my life. No matter what my father says, no matter what my mother says, no matter what anybody says, I don't take it in, I just keep it here. A shield, just listen, just a shield. And just give me a certain perception, because I didn't take anything in. If I simply sit like this, you know, in my home, people are moving up and down, initially I see them, after some time, they're just blobs of energy. Simply like that, I don't see their body anymore. I simply look like this. Then my father comes and he's telling me, I must study, I must do this, I must do that. None of these words… I hear the sounds, but I'm not attaching any meanings to anything. See, right now I'm speaking English language. If you do not know the language, I'm just making funny sounds, haven't I? Yes? See, it is not me who is giving the meaning, it is you who is giving the meaning to the words, isn't it? Isn't it so? If you do not know the language at all, I am just making all kinds of funny sounds. And this is how it is for me. I go sit in the school, they're making all kinds of funny sounds. I hear it as long as I can and then slip out the window. In the house, they're making all kinds of funny sound, I bear with it as long as possible, otherwise I go and sit on top of a coconut tree where they can't get me. Just because I made a serious effort not to be educated by any of these people, because I could clearly see, for none of them, life has really worked the way I would like it. They're okay, they've survived, they've become professionals, they've become successful in the world, they've earned their living, all these things they've earned, they built their own homes, they dress well, all this is fine. But life is not happening. When you look at their face, they don't even have as much life as a child. If a 5-year-old child can burst with so much life, a 40-year-old man or woman, how much life they should exude? Yes or no? It should grow or it should die. But it looks like it's gone off. People around me were not particularly miserable people, they were nice people, but I don't see them joyful through the day. Something has to happen. If they have to be happy, The world has to go the way these people think it should happen. This is your only problem, isn't it? The only and only source of misery in your life is not happening the way you think it should happen. Yes? But in the same breath, you say, I believe in God. If you believe in God, maybe it's happening His way. Is it okay if it happens His way? He must also do it my way. That's the whole thing, isn't it? Isn't that the whole thing? God must do His work the way I want Him to do it, otherwise I will go to the next temple. I will change, I'll convert I'll do something else. Even God has to do what I want Him to do. So your only problem is this, that the world and the life is not happening the way you think it should happen. Is there any other problem in your life? And let's look at your thought process. Is there any consistency to your thought process? Aren't you glad the world is not happening the way you think it should happen? No? Aren't you glad I'm asking? No, but my situation is not the problem, I'll tell you. Even if you're placed in the most horrible situation, you can handle it gracefully. People have, isn't it? People have walked even to gallows gracefully, haven't they done it? Haven't they done it in the past? Let me tell you an incident. There was a girl who was 13 years of age. This was in Austria in 1939. So this is a time Hitler was going about picking up all the Jews and packaging them into whatever. So one fine morning, this is an affluent family, one fine morning the soldiers walked in, just picked up the parents, took them away, picked up the children, took them away. Because this is a Jewish family, about 17 members of the family were living in one large home. They walked in, they came and occupied the house, and they took away the adults separately, and this 13-year-old girl and her 8-year-old brother were taken away separately. So they were taken to a railway station. It is like end of November, beginning of December time, it's cold in Germany. So they were on the railway station platform for 3 days. They don't know what's happened, children from affluent family now on the platform. Parents are gone, they don't know where, soldiers, guns pointing at you. So bad enough. But their children will be miserable only for a little time, after that they find something to kick around and start having fun. So the boys started playing a little bit of football and all this happened. After 3 days, a train came, a goods train, not a passenger train. So everybody was pushed into the wagons. Next station came, boys and girls were separated and taken away. 4.5 years later, in 1944, she came out of the concentration camp to discover all the 17 members of the family had perished, including her little brother. So at that moment, the only thing that she felt was that last moment that she spent with him, how ugly she made it for him. She boxed his ears, punched him in the face and said ugly things because he lost his shoes. And this made her resolve, from today, it doesn't matter whom I meet, any face that I see, I will speak to them in such a way, if this happens to be the last time I speak to them, I will not regret it. So even the most horrible situations that you're placed in can only build a human being, isn't it? Either you can make that your boon or you can make that your curse, it doesn't matter where you're placed. If you're placed in hell, there also you can make your life. If you're aware, if you're in touch with what this is. Otherwise, even if you're placed in heaven, you only make a mess out of it. Who told you you're not in heaven already? Is there any confirmation I'm asking? I'm asking you. Is there any confirmation that you are not already in heaven? Can you prove you're not there? No? So why do you think there's another place which is better than this? And this horrible idea that there's another place better than this has been created by people. You know, it is also here, but when I go to United States, I see huge hoardings about booking your ticket to heaven. How you can book your ticket to heaven if you go to a particular place? Nothing subtle about it, but it's like that. And heaven is the creation of those people who have made a hell out of themselves. Isn't it? You made a hell out of yourself, now you want to go to heaven? If you made a heaven out of this, if you're ecstatic, where the hell do you want to go? Wherever I go, it doesn't matter. See how to make a heaven out of this? Even if you're living in heaven, if you're in a certain way, you will only suffer, isn't it so? Especially if everybody is happy, you may suffer a lot. No, you're not like that. But all your competitors, your enemies, your neighbors, your mother-in-law, they're all having good time. You may suffer. Right now, a lot of people are suffering this, isn't it? Somebody is having a good time, they're suffering that, aren't they? Aren't they? This is not just few sick people, this is a large part of the majority. You're walking on the street, somebody is driving a car, you suffer that. If everybody was walking, you were okay, isn't it? If everybody was poor in the society, you were okay. Somebody is rich, that is a problem, isn't it? Isn't it so? You're suffering somebody's joy, somebody's well-being, simply because there is no joy here. You think by pulling that man or you getting on top of him, he is going to bring you joy? No, it's not going to happen. There is no proof that this is not heaven, isn't it so? This is like Shankaran Pillai was walking one day, he had a baby in the house, he didn't have any livestock. So his wife was constantly nagging him, we have a child but we don't have a cow in the house and no milk and all this. So he saw in somebody's house there were 8 cows and they had only 2 children. Then he thought, why 8 cows with 2 children? He walked in, took 1 cow and walked away. Then they came and arrested him, took him to the court and all this stuff. Then Shankaran Pillai said, I didn't steal anything, this is my cow. This cow has been with me for a month, this is my cow. Then they said, see, this cow was in somebody else's house. Then Shankaran Pillai said, wait, my wife 2 years ago was in somebody else's house, in her father's house. Now she's my wife. Are you disputing that? No? Then what's the problem with the cow? Then, that's not it. The owner of the cow said, I can produce 2 witnesses who have seen you stealing this cow. Shankaran Pillai said, that's nonsense, I can produce 100 witnesses who have not seen me stealing this cow. How's that? So you don't know whether this is really heaven or not, isn't it? What if it is and you missed it? Suppose this is heaven and you never realized. What a horrible way to live, isn't it? And I'm telling you it is, because the basis of your experience is within you. If you take charge of that, you can make heaven out of it right now, isn't it? Yes or no? All these people, your little intolerant neighbor, your noisy neighborhood child, your mother-in-law, all these things have been added so that there's little spice in your life for excitement. But it's actually heaven.
If I have to access you 24/7,
Oh.
how do I do that?
Oh, I am on 24/7, so no. Oh.
I'm not in a position to become a full-time volunteer right now. And the satsangs that I attend are maybe not doing enough, but there is more longing. How can you help?
So, you must become a full-time volunteer. Being a full-time volunteer does not mean moving to Isha Yoga Center. Volunteer means… to volunteer or to become a volunteer means you have become willing. Everything that you do in your life, you're doing it willingly. That means you're a volunteer. Where you're doing, what you're doing is not the point. You're doing everything willingly, not because of compulsions. Whatever you do in your life, if you do it willingly, that becomes your heaven. Whatever you do, if you do it unwillingly, that becomes your hell. Isn't it so? What is a great love affair? If it is done to you unwilling, when you're unwilling, that's called rape. Isn't it so? Isn't it so? So the difference between making your life into a heaven or making your life into a hell, the difference between making the simple process of life into a joyful process or into a miserable process is just this: either you do it willingly or you do unwillingly. To volunteer means, should I become a full-time volunteer? That's the only way to be. If you're not a full-time volunteer in your life, then you're a miserable human being. There is no other way to be. Yes? If you're doing parts of your life willingly, parts of your life unwillingly, obviously the unwilling part of your life is going to be a source of misery, isn't it? Sunday is joy, Monday to Saturday is misery. For the men, for the housewives, Monday to Saturday is joy, Sunday is misery. Anything that you do unwillingly becomes misery, isn't it? So your life, every aspect of your life, every breath, every step, every word that you utter, everything that you do, should it happen willingly or unwillingly? That means you're a full-time volunteer.